My purpose for all my video is to see the Hausas and the middle belt do well. Because most of the people not doing well in Nigerians are the middle belt and the Hausas. And the reason why most of these people are not doing well is because we are too soaked in religion. Everyone have right to worship whatsoever he or she want to worship, but don't be stupid when you are doing all of that. When you check North and middle belt, we are the most religious people in Nigeria. And same thing, they are the most poorest people in Nigeria. Another mistake we do is we respect elders too much. We always forget that fools grow old too. So because we respect our elders so much, some foolish ones that grow up still tell us things and we do them. And we also respect our religious clerics too much. Even when our religious clerics are leading us wrongly, we listen to them because we believe they are hearing directly from God, and that is a lie. Most of them.
Hello and what's up, guys? In this video we are talking about something serious: why northern clerics and leaders may be responsible for poverty and education backwardness in Sharia states. 4 northern states, Katsina, Kebbi, Kano and Bauchi, have decided to shut down schools for Ramadan. But here is the shocking part: these same states already have some of the highest number of out-of-school children in Nigeria. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, Bauchi tops the list with 54% of children not in school. Kebbi has 45%, Katsina 38% and Kano 35%. Together, these states have an average of 44%, where above the national average of 34%. Now, instead of fixing this crisis, these states are shutting schools down even more. Katsina's government just ordered all schools, including private schools owned by non-Muslims, to close for Ramadan. The Hizbah Sharia police has warned that anyone who refuses will face consequences. Bauchi has taken it even further, closing schools for 5 weeks. That means kids who are already struggling to get an education will be out of school for more than a month. People are outraged, but the government is standing firm. Is this about religion or is it something deeper? Why are leaders making decisions that could keep millions of children in poverty and backwardness? Guys, I will let you watch this video for yourself so you can see exactly what I am talking about. Also, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Take a look, guys, and remember to share your thoughts after watching.
My purpose for all my video is to see the Hausas and the middle belt do well. Because most of the people not doing well in Nigerians are the middle belt and the Hausas. And the reason why most of these people are not doing well is because we are too soaked in religion. Everyone have right to worship whatsoever he or she want to worship, but don't be stupid when you are doing all of that. When you check North and middle belt, we are the most religious people in Nigeria. And same thing, they are the most poorest people in Nigeria. Another mistake we do is we respect elders too much. We always forget that fools grow old too. So because we respect our elders so much, some foolish ones that grow up still tell us things and we do them. And we also respect our religious clerics too much. Even when our religious clerics are leading us wrongly, we listen to them because we believe they are hearing directly from God, and that is a lie. Most of them speak from their mind. It's not what God tells them that they are telling you. They are telling you their selfish interest. So for the middle belt and Hausa to grow, you need to stop listening to your religious clerics and some of our elders, because most of the thing they tell you all the time is something that will benefit them and their children, not you. Now look at this news. This thing is happening in Bauchi, a news that will affect both Christian and Muslim. Because of fasting, you ask everybody to stay at home, both Muslim and Christian children. Now this is not for one day, this is not for 2 days, this is for 1 month plus 5 good weeks. And you that implement that law, your children are not schooling in Nigeria. Most of your children are schooling outside Nigeria. They will not be out of school for those periods. Do you see how selfish your religious clerics are? Do you see how they did not care about you and your children? They try all means to take education from your children. That is why you see their children doing well and your children are alemajeri. How can you implement a law that affects everybody, both Christian and Muslim, except their children that are out of Nigeria? That is why they want to implement the Sharia law on some of the states. They want to render everybody poor, because I've never seen any state in Nigeria that practice Sharia law and their people are doing well. It's only those people that put the law of Sharia law that do well. Sharia law don't affect any of the rich or politician northerners, because if Sharia law truly works, all those northern politicians should be moving around with half hand and half leg. Only the people Sharia law affect are the poor northerners.
There's nothing we will not say in this country, Nigeria. How can a state governor order the closure of schools for 5 whole weeks, all in the name of a religious exercise? Does it even make sense? How the minds of these people, how do they process this kind of information? We already complained that we have a deficit in our educational structure. You now close school for 5 weeks. So the children that are meant to write WAEC, meant to write NECO, meant to write their professional exams, children are supposed to be in school. They should stay at home for 5 weeks. What exactly are we doing in this country? Are we intentionally trying to keep people uneducated so that we continue to do the nonsense that we are doing as leaders? Make it make sense to me. And you'll be complaining that some parents are taking their children to go and study abroad. Why would they not take their children to go and study abroad? Even though the money is very difficult for them to find. How can these children compete with their counterparts globally? The educational system is already even bad. Now, 5 weeks they will not be in school, so the people that are supposed to be writing exams, what would they be doing between now and April when they would resume? Hey, wow. Nigeria, what is going on? Is it that we have completely lost it? Hey, this country. Help me understand this thing, Abeg, because I can't for the life of me understand it. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I grew up in the north. I was born, buttered, breaded, whatever it is in the north. There was never a time that schools were shut down because of Ramadan. What is this?
So there are some reports that the Bauchi state government is shutting down schools, all schooling activities for 5 weeks because of Ramadan, which to me doesn't make a single sense. According to these reports by Usman is from Bauchi state and he wrote these reports last year. And according to him, some schools in Bauchi state, they have only one teacher. Imagine a whole school having only one single teacher. And there are some schools that the students don't have roof over them. They learn under the tree. And it's not like this governor is not aware of this situation. He has actually complained about it. And that's not his priority to bring about like infrastructural development. It's shutting down schools. And this is not even that it's only affecting the people that are fasting, right? It's everyone in the states. Literacy level is also high in the states. They are ranked number 8. Like all the educational indication is just really down.
That in Kebbi State and in Bauchi State, 2 states have taken a decision. They have adjusted their school calendar and shut down schools for 5 weeks because of the fact that they want to observe the holy month of Ramadan. So because of that, schools, primary, secondary school, all schools, private and public, were ordered to be closed or proceed on early holidays for 5 weeks. And so we met in the editorial board and say, what is this? We took time to review everything. We looked at all the information that is available out there. And we're not interested in blind criticism. We're not just interested in saying what this government has done is wrong or what this government has done is right. We're interested in the facts, the data, speaking for the situation. So one of my colleagues, Mrs. Jibrin-Hamza, Sefia Jibrin-Hamza, was mandated to write our position, the position of Children Info Bank on this matter. So she did an analysis of the situation, helped us to understand, what is going on and what we need to know. So what I want to do in this short broadcast is to see the possibility of reading through this editorial position of Children Info Bank, right? We titled it Analysis of Bauchi and Kebbi States School Closure Policy During Ramadan, Implication and Considerations. That's what we titled it. So here we made it abundantly clear the news that we have received, which is the fact that during the month of Ramadan, all schools in Bauchi State and in Kebbi State are going to be under lock and key. And they're going to be under lock and key because of the purpose of observing the holy month of Ramadan. And we see that happening in 2 states. Now, there is an outcry out there, people saying that that is in the state The Christian community is saying, yes, though this is a largely Muslim state, but why would you shut down schools in that state in celebration of Ramadan? So what happens to Christian children who want their children to go to school? For the truth, Nigeria is a secular state, and this is supposed to be respected in all the states. Why would we shut down schools, for the purpose of observing the holy month of Ramadan? It's not making sense to to the people in the states, and the analysis is very clear, as to the fact that this is not something that ought to have been considered in the first instance, and if it is going to be considered for whatever reason, a lot needed to have been taken into consideration, which we don't believe has been taken into consideration in this circumstance. So what I want to do, as I've said, is to read to you our editorial policy, our editorial position on this matter, because we are taking a policy position on the matter, trying to analyze what has happened, the impact of that on education in those two states, Bauchi and Kebbi, and we believe that something is something that we all need to speak about, something we need to speak to, right? The truth of the matter is that religion is a very sensitive and delicate matter, and so our leaders, most of the time, from time immemorial, they hide under religion, they hide under ethnicity, they hide under a lot of things to keep us silent. So when you speak, you are careful so that you will not be seen to be attacking a particular religion, right? You are careful, you don't talk, and when you talk, you don't want to hit the nail on the head. But that is different from what we want to do here. What we have done, sharing this information, on our own platform. What we have done is to take a dispassionate look at what is going on and ask a critical question. Can this really be a move in the best interest of the precious children of that state? That is the fundamental question we're asking in our editorial position. Can what has happened right now be in the best interest of the children in that particular state? So I'm not going to say it is in the best interest of the children in the state. I'm not going to say it's not in the best interest of the children in the state. What I'm going to do is to read to you what we have put together, and we want you to decide, after taking a look at it, whether this position that the Kebbi state government and the Bauchi state government have taken to keep children at home for 5 weeks so that they can observe a particular religious exercise, whether it makes sense, whether it is the way we should think, because for us, this is a conversation that must be driven by data. Data must drive the conversation. And that is why we created our platform, Children Info Bank. Data must drive the conversation. Very, very important. Whatever conversation that data is not driving is not worth having. Because then you can be accused of religious bias, you can be accused of ethnic bias, you can be accused of trying to bring down a government. And some of the data that we are referring to here, these are data from National Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria. We are not using foreign data. Though we speak to what UNESCO is saying concerning the matter, but you see, that is not the crux of our conversation. We are taking an holistic look, we are taking an holistic look at all of these things, right? And asking the critical question, is this position that have been taken, and the reason why we're having this broadcast is that this should be rescinded. Everywhere, meaning Nigeria, everybody who loves children across the world must speak up against this anomaly. As far as we are concerned, it's an anomaly. It's an anomaly that we must speak against. Right? We must speak against. It's an anomaly that we must speak against. It's not something that we should allow, we should allow to just go and or it's not something we just speak as victims. There's nothing we can do. It has happened, so we just continue. No, it should not be that way. So let me read to you our editorial position, written by Mrs. Jibrinamza, right? Safia Jibrinamza wrote this editorial position after we met this morning, because when this matter happened, we quickly called a meeting and we met and we decided that we needed to take a position. So I'm going to be reading to you what we put together, just to support the conversation out there. The decision by the government of Bauchi and Kebbi states to close all schools for 5 weeks during the Ramadan fasting period has sparked considerable debate. While religious observance is a vital part of our spiritual life as a people, the impact of this policy on education, particularly in a state like Bauchi, with one of the highest rates of educational deprivation in Nigeria, raises serious concerns. Overview of the policy decision. Bauchi State. Schools will be closed from February 26, 2025 to April 6, 2025, covering the Ramadan fasting period and the Salah celebrations. The second term will be divided into 2 phases, causing a major interruption in the academic schedule. That's for Bauchi State. Now for Kebbi State. Kebbi State schools will close on February 28, 2025, with the second term ending earlier than planned. The third term will begin on 7th of April 2025. Now, these closures affect all nursery, primary, and secondary schools, whether public and private, without any exception. It's all the schools in Kebbi, all the schools in Bauchi. Now, these are the criticisms out there. Number 1, the 5-week break disrupts academic continuity, especially for students preparing for critical examinations such as NECO, WAEC, and JAMB. Then, private schools have argued that the policy will result in incomplete academic schedule, affecting preparedness of students. That's what private school owners are saying. Unlike tertiary institutions, which remains open, secondary school students will be deprived of structured learning, widening the educational gap. Tertiary institutions are going to remain open. Nursery, primary, secondary school, everything is shut down without exception. Now, violation of religious inclusivity. Christian faith-based private schools and parents have argued that while Islam is a major religion in the state, forcing all students, including non-Muslims, to observe the break is discriminatory, completely unconstitutional. Discriminatory, forcing every child in a state where there are Christians and there are Muslims. There are faith-based private schools, Christian schools. They are saying that this is not, though the state is a largely Islamic state, it is not right for you to shut down all the schools, but for Christian children, for Muslim children, because we are observing a Muslim, exercise. The policy in both Bauchi and Kebbi raises concern about religious coexistence and inclusivity, potentially causing tension between Muslims and Christians and their students in the state. This is how we create religious tension. This is how we create religious crisis. The Christians are disgruntled, and they have made their views known that they are disgruntled about this being disenfranchised their children being denied their right to education, no matter how temporary it is, for a faith they do not practice. Bauchi alarming educational deficit. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, multi-dimensional poverty index, this is Nigerian data, 74% of children in Bauchi State have failed to attain formal education. 74%. 54% of children in the state are deprived of their education. The highest percentage in Nigeria, Bauchi State. 54% of children in the state are deprived of education. The highest percentage in Nigeria, that's Bauchi State. This figure surpasses crisis-affected states like Zamfara, which is 44%, and Borno, which is 48%. Hence, the Bauchi State already struggling with high dropout rates and low literacy levels. A 5-week halt further exacerbates the crisis. It's so pathetic, it's so sad what we are dealing with. It's so pathetic, it's so sad. We just don't have our priorities together. Alternative from other states, alternative models from other states. States like Kwara, Sokoto, and the rest have adjusted school hours to accommodate fasting students instead of implementing full closures. This model ensures that education is not disrupted while also allowing Muslim students to observe their religious obligations. So what is the global perspective to all of these things? Remember, I'm reading from our editorial policy of Children Info Bank. Our website is www.childreninfobank.com. It's a place you need to go. As of today, we have over 10,000 links. What am I saying? Today we should be close to over 20,000 links of information about children from the continents of the world, now delineated according to subject matter, making your job easier at the level of research. Now, this is the global perspective on education and religious accommodation. 1. The United Nations and UNESCO recognize education as a fundamental right. International best practices emphasize inclusion as the central policy that accommodates religious observance without compromising academic progress. UNESCO is saying we should observe religious exercises, but we must not compromise academic progress. In Indonesia and Malaysia, predominantly Muslim nations, adjustments are made to school hours rather than outright closures. Indonesia and Malaysia are predominantly Muslim nations. They don't even shut down their own schools. They don't. The United Kingdom provide flexible arrangement for fasting students during Ramadan without stopping academic activities. That is a developed nation. They recognize the right of their people to observe religious exercises, but they know that respecting those rights and keeping children in school are not mutually exclusive. So both can exist together, and that's what they do. The United States and Canada accommodate religious practices within school policies without disrupting the education of non-participating students. There are students who are not interested, it's not that they are not interested, it is not their religion. They don't follow that religion. Now, balancing religion and education. Possible solutions. Related issues. These are related issues. Right? Now, what do we need to do? Number 1, reduce school hours during Ramadan as seen in Kwara and Sokoto. These are solutions that we think should be in the forefront. Reduced school hours during Ramadan, as seen in Kwara and Sokoto states. 2. Operational closures, allowing schools to decide whether to stay open or close based on their student demographics. What is our conclusion? Children Info Bank editorial position. While religious observance are important, they should not override the rights to education. The decision to enforce a 5-week school closure in Bauchi and Kebbi states disrupt academic progress, disproportionately affecting students preparing for external exams, and further exacerbates Bauchi already critical educational deficit. The government should reconsider this policy to avoid setting a precedent that undermines educational access and equity. That is our thinking. That is our position. It's not predicated on religious preference or lack of preference. It's not predicated on cunningly devised fables. It's not predicated on conjectures. It's predicated on facts. And if you want to read the entire editorial policy, our editorial policy, just go to www.childreninfobank.com and look for our Safe Community Board. Under the Safe Community Board, that's the latest article there. And I think you should take a look at it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my conversation with you this evening. That the decision that I've been taking is not in the best interest of the children in Kebbi and Bauchi states, irrespective of their faith, whether they are Christians or they are Muslims. The decision that I've been taking is not in their best interest. And we have analyzed that in a state with 74% of their children not receiving formal education, we have shown these are facts, statistics from National Bureau of Statistics. We didn't conjure, we didn't create them. So that's my conversation again this evening, that we must be committed to doing things right. We must be committed to the best interests of our children. We must be interested in ensuring that we always think about the future of this nation. When we take these decisions, the future of our nation, the future of our precious children, we must think about how the world is looking at us. When we take this kind of decisions that look pretty primitive. But another thing that we need to consider, most of the time, the children of those who take these decisions are not in those schools. Most of the times, the children of those who take these decisions are not in those schools. Their children are in other schools. Their children are studying abroad. Their children do not bear the brunt of these decisions that they impose on the children of wells of wood and drawers of water, the children of the Oipoloi, whose only crime is that they were born as Nigerians. I think that every Nigerian child should write a letter. Every Nigerian child, yes, should write a letter to Tribunal and beg him that they want to write a collective book, they want to write their own book titled Born a Crime. The autobiography of Tribunal is titled Born a Crime. It was talking about the fact that he was born when it was unlawful for a white South African to be married to a black South African. So his birth it came to this world as a crime. The way it is looking, it is as if it is a crime. It is like every Nigerian child is born a crime. Because what is the basis of the punishment? The basis of the suffering, untold suffering that is inflicted on an average Nigerian child just by virtue of being a Nigerian. So note, if you are a Nigerian child, you are either being cared for by your parents when your biological parents have the means. They are the one who take care of you. They send you to private school. They send you to private hospital. They arrange private security for you. Though you are not the citizen of your parents, you are the citizen of your country, but there's nothing that your country is doing for you that shows that you are a citizen. You are just citizen by name. And if your parents are not rich to put you in a private school, to take you to private hospital, to arrange private security for you, then you are on your own. You are left in the cold. At that point, you are not those children who cannot afford shelter, who cannot afford education, who cannot afford health, who cannot afford basic things of life. They are not underprivileged children. Because what they are denied of are not privileges. These children are the denied, the oppressed, the abused. When we call them underprivileged, it might suggest that all their rights have been met. What they are denied of are privileges. No, those children are not denied of privileges. They are denied of their rights. So Nigeria does not have underprivileged children. There's nothing like that. The only underprivileged children actually are the children of the rich. They are the underprivileged because they have received all their rights. They may not have access to privileges. So you can call them underprivileged. The children of the rich, the children who have been sent to private schools, the best private schools, who have been sent to the best hospitals. So they have some privileges. They may not have some privileges that are not being met. But you see, what the average Nigerian child whose parents cannot send to private school, cannot send for security and all of that, is not an underprivileged child, because what the child is denied of are his rights. You don't become an underprivileged until all your rights have been met. When all your rights are met, then what is left is privileges. For example, you have rights to education. Then the government makes sure that every child in Nigeria has access to education in accordance to Chapter 2 of the Constitution and the UBE Act. Every child has right to health. In accordance to Chapter 2 of the Constitution, government makes health available to every child. Every child has right to shelter. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Constitution, the government makes sure that children and their parents have good shelter. A child has right to protection. The government of Nigeria makes sure that the security of the welfare of the people is the primary aim of government. So when all of that have been met, those are rights. Now let's say after government has not provided for education, provided for security, provided for shelter, provided for health, somebody now says that, well, I don't want to stay in a general ward. I don't want to stay in a general ward in a public hospital. I don't want to stay in a general ward. In that public hospital, all your rights are met. There's nothing you are looking for in the private hospital that is not available in the public hospital. But because you are well-to-do, you now say, well, I don't want to be in a general ward in a public hospital. Please take me to a private hospital. Now, you being taken to that private hospital is not because you don't have rights. It's not because your right to health has not been met. It has been met. But you want a type of treatment which is luxurious, which are privileges. Then you can now be taken to a private hospital in a private ward where you are alone in the room. That is a privilege. Now you are not in that hospital, you are not in that private hospital because your right to health has not been met. It has been met. But you have a preference for a particular kind of healthcare. The same thing for education. Education is available to everybody. Let's say it's available to everybody. The Nigerian government has made the right of every child to education. So there are schools according to local government, according to wards. School exists for everybody, well furnished. Teachers top notch, everything is working. Then some people now feel that, well, what we have in these schools are fans, but we want to build a school with air condition. So they now register their children in those schools with air condition. Now they are not in those schools with air condition because their right has not been met at the level of education. But they are in those schools with air condition because they choose the luxury and the privilege. That is a privilege. But when people's rights have not been met and they opt for an alternative, that is not a privilege. So in Nigeria, we do not have underprivileged children. What we have in Nigeria are the oppressed, the denied, the abused. So the next time you want to use this word underprivileged, be careful. Nigeria does not have underprivileged children. What we have, it is when we use underprivileged, we use it to manage our guilt, cover our tracks, cover our irresponsibility as a nation and as a people. Africa does not have underprivileged children. Nigeria does not have underprivileged children. Because these children, what they are being denied of are their rights. So we have the abused, the neglected, the abandoned. Those are the children we have in Nigeria. And things must change.